Hello, hello there. It's Dr. Amanda Williams. I'm a pharmacist by trade and Frenchie lover by heart. And say hi, Leslie Poo. This is Lestina, and she's named after a very special person to us, and we call her Leslie or Leslie Poo. um, and today we're going to talk about what do I do when my French bulldog has diarrhea. I know this is not the most fun topic, but unfortunately, most Frenchies will have some form of diarrhea at one point in their life. Okay. And there can be several reasons. So you'll feel like detective a lot of times. Um, so what we have at first are acute reasons, and then we have chronic reasons. Okay, so the acute can be several reasons, such as they ate something that they shouldn't have. So there's lots of toxic things to dogs that are not toxic for humans, such as raisins and grapes and chocolate and stuff like that, which can be a totally different blog post, which I'm sure at some point in time I am going to talk more about. Okay. So they can get in something like that and they could have some diarrhea. Sometimes if they eat just like a little, it'll they'll just like have some diarrhea and they'll be done with it. Okay. So that's something that is acute. So they may have gotten to the garbage. They may have, eaten something. You may have switched their food, and they did not have enough time to be able to adjust to it as well. Okay, so those are some reasons. So for me, if I switch dog food, I would do it gradually. If you're worried about diarrhea, and then I would give it a little bit of time to see if about a week or two to be able to see if it subsides. Okay. Um, so it could be toxic, and if it is toxic, so diarrhea is just one of the is just a side effect that isn't that crazy compared to what it could be. So if they ate a whole bunch, you definitely need to get a hold of poison control, the vet, to be able to see what you may need to do. So sometimes you have to they'll advise you to give some hydrogen peroxide. But within the blog article, I have listed the poison control number, and there's a link to the blog. So you can just go there and there is a poison control number. I would just put it in your phone just so that you have it in those situations. And it's specific for doggies, okay, or pets in general. And then another reason that they can have some diarrhea is, especially in puppyhood, it seems to be a part of puppyhood, is it could be a parasite. What we often see a lot of in puppies are coccidia and giardia. Okay. And your vet will do a stool sample when you first so if you do a well puppy check, your vet will do a stool sample and be able to tell you if either one of those things are in there. They are, not anything to freak out about. And there's other parasites as well. It's not anything to freak out about. It's just you get the information and you proceed with giving them the medication every single dose, whether they like it or not, to be able to get rid of the parasite. Sometimes you have to do multiple rounds, especially with giardia. But it's important to get those fecals, treat appropriately, and then retest to make sure that it is out of their system. Okay. So these guys, we had some bouts of diarrhea. It was pretty gross. We have a couple in this litter that we are keeping, and they all had the squirts. I had squirts on the walls because they have the cages with the slats through it. It was on the walls. It'd be squirted out onto the floor. It hit the refrigerator in there. I mean, it was disgusting. So I realized this is never anything fun to work with, to have to deal with. So what I did, what we ended up finding out is that they had coccidia, which is interesting to me anyway, but they had it. And what I did though at first, I want to talk to you kind of about what I would do, and everybody's level of dealing with these issues is different for each individual person. So some of you may have more experience, some might have too much anxiety. So I always say at any point that you feel that you need to talk to a vet, to go ahead and do so. Okay. I use pawp.com, PAWP.com. I highly, highly recommend that you get this because they will tell you if you need to go to the vet, emergency vet, etc. So what it is 24 access, 24/7, 24-hour access 7 days a week to be able to have access to a veterinarian. And it's only $19 per month, and you can have up to 6 pets, and that includes kitties and dogs. And you'll get it. And if there is something that they deem as an emergency, you can have up to $3,000 once a year at the emergency room. So I get nothing from this. I just love the company. I think it's a great, great source, because a lot of times we lose our brains whenever it's our puppy. Okay. So my first suggestion would be to jump up on pop.com and ask the vet. Okay. And second, what I do is, whenever I'm having GI issues, is I go ahead, I fast mine overnight, and they're used to that anyway. And if they're puppies, you need to be a little bit more careful with that, and to make sure that they don't go hypoglycemic. So if you have smaller dogs, you have to worry a little bit about that. But Frenchies tend to not have issues with that. So we fast them. And then I give them a really plain diet. So I have this packet of under the weather dehydrated food. So all you have to do is just basically add some hot water. So you can order that from our store as well. It's a great source so that you don't have to think about it. So I always recommend that you have your own Frenchie first aid kit on hand, so that when something does happen, you are prepared. I always feel like there's nothing worse than not having the thing on hand when you need it. So I definitely recommend that. Sorry, I'm distracted by Miss Leslie Pooh. She's the sweetest. She's so I always have that on hand. That's one of the things I always have on hand. Okay. And then I would go ahead and give that. And then I also start them on probiotics and a digestive enzyme. So those are the two big recommendations I have. You can also add pumpkin to that mix to be able to help firm up the stool. The pumpkin goes both ways. If they're constipated, or if they have loose stools, it helps to just manage that stool so that it is a good consistency. Okay. So you can have just regular canned pumpkin in there. You can also just make sure it's like the plain and not, the pumpkin pie mix. Make sure it's a plain pumpkin, or else there are dried pumpkin flakes. I just prefer keeping canned pumpkin on hand at all times, just in case. So I put that in their food as well. All right. I also had the vet do a fecal. Okay, so that's how we found out that it was coccidia. It took a couple days to be able to figure that out. So in the meantime, I'm giving them this bland diet. I'm giving them probiotics and some pumpkin. And then on top of that, I like this mixture of L-glutamine, phos, the fruit oligosaccharide. Sorry, I had a hard time spitting that out. And then slippery elm, and then you just mix it 1 to 1 to 1. And then for small dogs like these guys, just give 1 teaspoon twice a day on their food. Okay. And that is going to help over time, can help like calm down the digestive system and help decrease the amount of inflammation in there as well. Okay. So you're given a bland diet, you're giving some pumpkin, you're giving some probiotics, and then also this mixture of phos, L-glutamine, and slippery elm. Okay. And then you're just monitoring their poops to be able to make sure that they are getting back on track. Okay, so that is what I recommend. There are other issues that you'll want to keep in mind, that there can be chronic issues as well. So that means they could be like irritable bowel. It can have some kidney or liver issues as well. So that's why I always say you want to be in contact with your vet, but sometimes you got to do some home treatment as well, just like with yourself or with your kids. There's part of it that's home treatment. Part of it is that you're talking to your pediatrician, but you're still doing some of those things to be able to help move it forward. Like not everything needs to be like an instant go to the vet. Okay. That's why I also recommend that pop.com so that you can have the peace of mind that you're doing the right treatment plan. And you can also recheck back in with them, be like, hey, it's getting worse. What should be the next thing? And they can help guide you with that as well. Okay. So the other thing that I did, because this was really on my mind, I just don't like kibble. And I know that there's a lot of controversy and everybody feels so strongly about different things. I've gone through the certifications for the doggy nutrition kind of courses, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that I just don't really want my dogs on kibble. And I believe that every step away from kibble is a better step. So I was doing some dehydrated raw that I was buying, and that just got so expensive, and it was just crazy. So I just decided to do my own raw, and so I have decided to go with chicken, and I have my own recipe with carrots and sweet potatoes. And sometimes I add a little bit of rice, and we add in. So I feed them twice a day. I add those probiotics. I kind of go back and forth between them, but they're both great. So there's the digest, which has digestive enzymes in it, but it has probiotics as well. And then there's one that's just mostly focuses on probiotics and prebiotics in it. And so I kind of go back and forth because I think that they're both great for them. So I would choose one or the other. And you just put that on their food, the L-glutamine, phos, and slippery elm mixture. I put that in there. And then I also, I put in this immune blend as well. Okay. And then I actually just put it in the Vitamix and I mix it all up because my doggies don't like to chew on bones that well. Some of them do, but not all of them do. Some of them are like, so I put mine in my old Vitamix. It doesn't it kind of stops it, but my Vitamix is really old. So we have a new one that's for the human use and then old one that's for the, raw doggy food. So I put it in there through a couple times, about 20 seconds, 15 seconds, however long it lasts. And then I pour it into their bowls and they are like always waiting and can't even wait to have their little meals. So I'm working on getting a little bit more balanced and changing things up a little bit. But after I did that, after 2 weeks, their little stools became like little Tootsie Rolls, which I've never had before. They've always been big old piles, so that's been a nice thing. And I probably will not go back unless it's not available in the stores anymore, which it is kind of hard sometimes to be able to find them. But I do go to Sam's and I just get the whole chicken, or else I do a combination of legs and thighs and whatever they have at the 98 cents a pound. And so, yes, you can go and you can spend a lot more and you can get the free range, etc. But I say just do what you can. I will never judge anybody whether they do kibble or cooked or raw or whatever it is. The important thing is just making sure you're doing the best for your little one. And I found like this really, really works really, really well for them. And yep, so we got little Tootsie Roll poops. We got rid of the coccidia, we got rid of the squirts, and now they're on. And I'm thankful that I had to go through that just for the fact that it did make me deal with all those things. So sometimes you'll think like, oh, this is awful, but it can actually make you think through things and actually help extend their life, because I really believe that I got consistent with their probiotics. Oh, I put a multivitamin. So I put the raw food, the multivitamin, the probiotics, and then the little mixture for their stomach GI tract that I keep on talking about. And I put the links for all those things that you can get them on Amazon. So you can just order those and have them on hand. But you can also order them when you start to have issues, because it's something that you're going to want to do for a while. It's not something that's going to help it for acute situations. It's going to be something for the long term. So what would I recommend that you put in your Frenchie first aid kit? I would recommend that under the weather, plain food that I'm going to put in the link on there. I'd recommend that you get some canned pumpkin. And then I would also recommend that you just go ahead and start using the probiotics or else the digestive enzymes on your Frenchie's food now, because it does help a lot. The digestive enzymes also can help with gassiness as well. And then if you're interested in it, I would go ahead and start doing the raw dog food if that is something that you're ready for. But I realize that not everybody is at this point in time. So, but for your Frenchie first aid kit, you need the under the weather, dried plain dog food, okay, plain food, and some pumpkin on hand. And I would go ahead and have some probiotics to add to your Frenchie's dog food now, or digestive enzymes. So I think that's about it. Do you want to say bye, Leslie Poop? Have we rambled on enough? Yeah. Oh, yes, should we go snuggle? Oh, yeah, Leslie's saying, let's go snuggle. All right. Say goodbye, Leslie Poop. All right. Well, you have a good day. Let me know if there's any questions that you have. And, if you're just, always go to, I highly recommend that you guys go to pop.com and just go ahead and register on top of having your Frenchie first aid kit. So go ahead and go on there and get that registered, so you always have that source of expertise to be able to ask somebody when you aren't certain if it is an emergency or not. All right, have a good day. Bye for now.